yogis, welcome to this 90-minute Yin Yoga practice. My name is Chris. We're beginning lying on our backs. We have a blanket folded for beneath our spine, running along. Just for a little bit of compression. You don't have to do that. Something comfortable for beneath your head may be nice. And we'll start out here in our opening. Just softening everything between head to toes. Beginning some deep belly breaths. Starting to find some heaviness here. Exhaling all the way into the back body, connection with the mat, becoming aware of. Reaching out with your senses into your space. Noticing the temperature of the air, the taste of the mouth. The sounds of your space and beyond. Set an intention for your practice if you'd like to do so. Maybe beginning it with those words, may I. May I find peace amidst the chaos in my practice. Let's begin a scan from the tips of your toes to the top crown of your head, imagining, if you will, that you are looking down on yourself in the light and reflective properties of a pool, or a body of water that you're standing near. And the ripples, the light shining through, offer a way for you to scan very gently as an observer, looking at the light washing up your body, softening everything between. As you wash your inner eye over your body, noticing what you feel, be mindful to soften your shoulders, the shoulder blades, maybe even walking the shoulder blades wider or more away from one another. Create that space where between your shoulder blades may come into better contact with your mat or blanket. Scanning our faces, releasing all of those memories, emotions, victories, failures, traumas and successes that create the lines that we perceive and the real lines in our body. Our faces, the lines of wisdom and laughter, all softening. Beginning to engage with your breath once again, inviting that awake awareness. Picturing the room about you, thinking about what does your body look like with your eyes closed. Tracing a path around the outline of your body with a bright fluorescent white light. The light is soft, non-threatening, no anxiety or fear. And let's take 2 to 3 more breaths here, inviting more awareness back into the spaces of our hearts. Feeling the rise and fall of the belly and chest. Each exhale brings softening into the shoulders. You can start to bend the knees one at a time and find the mat or the blanket with the soles of your feet. Let's angle our toes in, let the knees come in touch. Taking this constructive rest pose for just a moment, and we'll consider whether we want to keep that compressing blanket behind us for a few more moments as we move through some cradle and half cradle. Or if you'd like to just roll to one side and remove it. Always available. And only as you're ready to move on, we'll start to allow the knees to separate. Your toes go back pointing towards the top of your mat. Inviting the knees in towards your body one at a time. A little rocking side to side. You cross an ankle here, let the knees widen. Let's get that little low back and space between the shoulders, shoulder blades compression. And start to slowly draw that back to our place of stillness. It's reminding ourselves that Yin Yoga is a practice of stillness, but you can move, adjust, do whatever you need to. The right knee still hugged into the chest. Let's take the left leg out, the direction of straight. Letting that any flex out of our feet, allowing for the arms to extend, a little slack out. Softening everything from top to bottom. Relaxing here. Big belly breaths. Maybe your exhales bring additional heaviness into your arms and hands, which may bring more depth and sensation to the top of your right hip crease, or left, depending on which knee you brought in, regardless of what I cued. Take another 2 to 3 breaths. And as you breathe, start to send the sole of that folded leg back down to the mat of your foot, and then let's very slowly step out. Making sure both legs are out in the direction of straight. Softening and just noticing that little bit of warmth, energy, compression, release in your hip of the folded leg. Again, moving to soften the shoulders, the shoulder blades. When you're prepared to do so, we'll pull in and invite in, rather, the left knee. For my practice, it could be the opposite for yours. Take another breath or two here. And beyond that, we'll intuitively, as we reach that breath cue and beyond, we'll intuitively lower. Sole of the foot back to the mat, pausing for just a moment. And send that leg out towards straight. Both legs are nice and long. And pausing here in corpse pose. Feeling that little bit of space we created so far. In a few moments, only when you're ready, next pose is going to be a reclining half butterfly. So if you'd like to reach for a block for the outsides of your knee, you only need one block, or anything else that will bring the floor closer to you that's comfortable. And nice and easy, start to bend the left leg for me, maybe it's the right leg for you. And bring the sole of your foot in towards the leg that's out long. For me, it's my right. Left leg folded, right leg out long. Supporting the knee with the block, and let's rest here for a few minutes. Meditating upon the breath, deep belly breaths, and dropping in. With your breath, checking in with your body and scanning from the tips of your toes up to the knees, and notice what you're feeling. Both legs, both sides. All the while breathing deeply, maybe lengthening your exhale. checking in with our body and breath. Inviting your awareness back into the space you occupy. And very slowly and gracefully, only when you're ready, helping hand, lifting left knee back up towards the sky, pausing here with the sole of the foot on the mat for a moment, a breath or so, then taking left leg out in the direction of straight and pausing here for just a moment. Noticing what you feel in your knee, thigh, hip. And then very easy, start to move to the opposite side. Deciding if you'd like props to bring the floor closer, since if we're still lying up on our blanket for now, it's lifting us up a little bit. So maybe you want to bring the floor closer, and let's rest here. Easy breathing, nice and deep, checking in. Considering if you want to remove or add props. Then let's drop back in here, nice and heavy. Long exhales into the back body. Visualizing that imprinting your bones into sand. Maybe at the shore, maybe not. We'll take another breath or two. Each exhale, bringing additional surrender to the force of gravity. Transition nice and slowly. Sole of the foot to the ground, right foot and leg out in the direction of straight. Pausing here, noticing the residual sensation in the hips, the knees. We'll move into a reclining four square twist this afternoon. It's one of my favorites because it's very gentle. If you would like to reach for a block or 2 blocks, if you want to bring the floor nice and high, you can. So lately I like to get into this four square twist by staying behind and still, and then stacking, we'll say, the right ankle on the left thigh, just slightly behind the knee, and then start to bend the left leg, planting the sole of the foot, left foot on the mat, maybe moving toes towards the top of your mat or stepping your foot so your heel comes in more towards your seat. And here we're just going to take a gentle twist, letting the stacked legs move to the left, sole of the foot approaching the ground. Now this is where you'll definitely need to consider, if you're using that blanket, just shifting a little bit and removing. Keep it handy for later if you'd like. And even reaching down, holding on to the top leg ankle for a little bit of support. Gaze is neutral to the sky. Breathing out that heaviness from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Beginning to check in with your body and breath, lengthening and deepening your exhale. Reaching out into your space with awareness and your senses. Allowing the vibration, the volume, temperature of your space to be your anchor into the moment. Reminding yourself gently and lovingly that there is no tomorrow. There are things to look forward to beyond the time I'm in now, but it doesn't exist yet. And what's behind you is behind you, even if just for now. We'll take 3 more breaths here, this space of stillness. Knowing we can move and exit the pose the same way we got in anytime we want. We must all do that very slowly and cautiously in each pose. And as we move up to and beyond that breath cue, starting to consider exiting this pose. If you're going to exit this pose with me, let's take the lower leg and allow it to go out to straight. And slowly start to twist the hips, Unstack, unravel. Let's soften here in corpse pose. Feeling that little bit of relief from pressure in the low back, the spine from the twist, the low spine, hips, ankles, and feet. After another breath or two, yogi's choice, we'll move to the opposite side. It's the same way we got in to the previous side. If you'd like to bump your hips in a little bit or away from the twist, that's always available. A little bit of more softness. Beginning to take the shape, deciding on props, moving into the pose. Opportunity to change the shape of the arms, opening them up, overhead grasping opposite elbows. And softening here. Focusing your breath from the waistline down the legs to the feet. Make sure we're softening the sit bones, and let's rest here. Here in this last remaining half minute or 3 to 4 breaths, offering additional release, especially in your left seat, the left hip, softening there as much as you can. Left hip up towards your left knee. And this unraveling, when you're ready, we'll do this very slowly. Send the lower leg out to straight, and then unstack, unravel, find the center of your mat, shifting a little bit. Pausing here for a moment. Noticing the residual sensations in each, the left and right, from your hip down to your toes, feeling the difference without judgment, good, bad, or indifferent. Use these sensations to remind yourself you are here right now to experience them, alive. You may hear a little yippy puppy in the background. He'll silence himself in a few moments rather. And I can say that it's my dog. It's very slowly think about and begin to move ourselves over onto the left side very gently and softly. Lying on our back body for about 30 minutes. If this is your first practice with me at home, for the members or on YouTube, this is how we do. We move very slowly and we rest in between. We have long holds. And also, I'm somewhat of a magician. I will make 90 minutes disappear for you. And some of your tension and stress. The rest is up to you. Big belly breaths here. We're going to bring the top arm hand in closer to the body as we consider pressing up very, very slowly, pausing on an elbow, maybe even, and then all the way up to a comfortable seat. One leg crossed in front of the other. Doesn't really matter which, because we'll switch them anyway in just a few moments. And don't worry about sitting like I'm sitting, that's just how I sit. So let's close our eyes, reestablish our upright equilibrium. Well, my Apple Watch yogis, maybe this will apply to your standing up goal of the day. Big breaths, exhaling from the belly. We also have, through the belly, we also have fun here. And Chris says weird stuff, just like Tara does. Very gently, if you're ready, let's start to hinge forward at the hips, keeping the chin lifted. Walking the hands forward just a bit. Start to let your elbows bend. The chin can dip down to the chest. I'm softening the space here from the top of the head down your back body, all the way down to your tailbone, and then your seat softening. And if your knees are sensitive, you can just sit yourself up, take some of that bend out, or even straighten your legs and just sit up nice and tall. Just arch forward a little bit. That's a nice alternative. We'll take 2 to 3 more breaths here. Coming back into the space of our heart, bringing our awareness back into our bodies. Noticing if your feet or your hands are chilly or warm. Just noticing. You can gently begin to walk the hands in to lift yourself up. Unravel your legs. Straighten them out. Leaning back on the hands, a little rocking side to side. Maybe a little point flex of the feet. Stepping the feet to the long edges of the mat or in that direction. Let's take some seated windshield wipers. From left to right. Nice and slow. And even if you'd like, you can turn it out, your flow from one side to the other. Turn it out into a stag or a deer pose just for a moment. It's kind of nice. And preparing to bring that movement back to a place of stillness as we continue with a few seated poses with optional forward folds. Something I'd like to offer too is that blanket that we had from earlier. We can use that to boost our seat up a little bit. Gives us an angle, and it's a little bit different of a feel as we move through. Excuse me, dragonflies. Let's start with the half dragonfly. I'm going to take my left leg out towards straight at an angle. You don't need to go to your fullest expression of this pose, but you can. But we're going to hinge forward. The other option is to turn, twist, and fold over the extended leg. I'm going to offer to fold forward here. We're going to sit up nice and tall, reaching the crown up towards the sky, walking hands and fingers away from you. Feeling that little bit of a pull here. If it's strong, just back off a little bit. You can lower down as you breathe. Elbows bend, chin to chest, soften your gaze or close your eyes. Take a deep breath after this first minute. Consider if you want to remove some of the sensation by walking your hands in towards your body or extend, walking hands a little further away from you, bending the elbows, all optional. beginning to invite your awareness back in, breathing a little deeper. Notice how your belly feels if you're forward, or even if you're sitting all the way up with a slight lean forward. Without anxiety or fear, just feel how it feels. It feels compressed. If it does, no anxiety. And sit up nice and slowly whenever you're ready. Take both legs out towards straight and lean back on the hands and a little tip side to side to change the shape of our bodies, maybe letting one shoulder extend out just a little bit. Let's move that into some seated windshield wipers. Today's practice is extra gentle. I'll call it low and slow. If you've found relief through this movement and stillness, you can start to come back to center and start moving to the same shape at the opposite side. Taking all the time that you need. Mindful whether you want to take full expression. I would encourage you to just take sort of medium expression. Getting into the pose, lifting up, folding forward, or just hinging a little bit. Planting the palms in, chin to chest, and let's rest here for a few minutes. And if that sensation is too much, you can always place the extended sole of the foot on the mat or the floor. And just sort of sit up and just lean forward a little bit. Here in this final minute of our hold, exhaling some more heaviness down your body towards your seat, softening the folded legs, knee. The same side, softening your seat. Moving to the other side, soften the heel of the extended leg, toes, knee. with a catch of our breath, breathing deeper in awareness and awakeness. Start to lift yourself back up, walking hands back in towards the body or just sitting up. And again, we're going to take our legs out towards straight. Little hinging side to side, maybe turning your head at the same time, out to each side. You can even let your toes point to each side. We're just changing the shape of our bodies, offering some very subtle and sweet movements. Excuse me. And you only bring that back to stillness when you are ready. You can reach and grab a drink if you'd like. We're going to do 2 more seated poses. We're going to mix it up a little bit than we have previously. If this is your first practice, that means nothing to you. Pardon me. So from a seated position, let's take our left leg out to straight. Left leg is out to straight. The right ankle stacking on your left thigh. You can stay right here if this feels terrible for you. Left leg is coming straight out. Sole of the bent leg, my right, and then you just hinge forward towards the leg. If you can stay with me in my practice that I'm offering, this is a half shoelace. If you'd like to try full shoelace, tip to the side of the lower leg. For me, it's the left side. And then invite the heel towards your bum bum. Just to come in. Slight tipping forward. And this becomes full shoelace. And after this first minute, take a few breaths and check in, deciding if you want to try full shoelace or go back to half. There is no wrong answer. If you're hyperflexible, reaching for the soles of the feet and then softening. And hypermobile. About a half minute remaining, or 3 to 4 breaths. Nice long breaths. Nice and slow as well. Exhaling softness into the shoulders as you exhale. And gently, only when you're ready, we will lift ourselves up. We will lift ourselves up and tilt to one side like you did if you did that. Unstack and unravel. And here we'll offer some stillness as we lean back, maybe this time fingers towards your seat. If you have wrist problems, that's a contraindication. You can simply sit up, change the shape of your legs just to notice what you're feeling. Doesn't even have to be a yoga pose. A few more breaths here before we move on to the other side. Just to remind of this cue, this pose for cues, if we haven't done this a whole lot, I don't think we have. The right leg will come out straight out from the hip, away from you, tucking left foot in, and then lifting it onto and behind your right knee. And here you can live right here, hinging forward. Or you can lean to the right side and let your right heel come toward your left sit bone. And then we're just arranging and tipping forward or folding. Check in for just a moment. Exhale softness into the shoulders. Noticing the hips and the knees. And here in these last 3 to 5 breaths, letting your exhales be heavy, maybe offering some softness in the shoulders, the upper body, bringing maybe a little bit more depth into your full. you're ready, softly sitting back up. Unstack and unravel, pausing this modified reverse plank just for a moment. Feeling everything there is to feel, especially between knees and feet, focusing on the hips. Just breathe here for a minute. Movement is encouraged, but not required. Just to change the shape. In just a moment, we'll move around towards a tabletop shape. Move into a few more poses. So the next posture we're going to spend some time in is going to be a Sphinx pose. The option for a block, or using the bolsters to support your head. You don't have to do that. Well, first we'll come all the way down onto the front body. Let's take some front lying windshield wipers. You could even stay up on your elbows a little bit to sort of shift. That will bring some deep low back release if you're not looking for that today. All the way down onto your front body. And shifting the legs and feet from side to side. Just for a moment. Coming back to that place of stillness, offering to come up on the elbows, mostly stacked below the shoulders, but you can walk them forward a little bit to soften that back bend. Reach for your block if you'd like, and forehead onto the block. Be problematic for spectacles, glasses. So maybe remove them, or don't use the block if you prefer. Let's all take a nice deep centering breath to come back. Spend this last minute or so exhaling some heaviness into the front of your hips. And center all the way down to the toes. Let the upper body hold this shape. Just noticing how the lower body feels. And start to come back into our breath. Breathe nice and deep into your belly. Notice how that feels in contact with the floor, the yoga mat, blanket as you breathe. Not if it's uncomfortable. Just feel your body lift up a little bit as you breathe. Nice and easy. The counter pose for this will be coming all the way down onto our front body. The crocodile pose, elbows to each side, stacking hand over hand, or even tater tots, fist over fist to support the forehead. Some front lying windshield wipers. Maybe take the knees a little bit wider. So we're going to push up through a tabletop shape to move into a brief toe squat and then back into a supported or unsupported child's pose, which I think we all need on every day. So I like to come up to a low kneeling for a few breaths before we move to the toe squat. Nice long exhales to soften the shoulders. Let's bring the knees a little closer together. The feet as well, if that's something that's part of your practice. Coming down onto the hands. You're going to tuck all 10 toes. If you can do that physiologically. If not, that's okay too. Let's walk the hands up the legs. Make sure our pinky toes are tucked. Sitting up nice and straight with a big breath. Crown reaches up. Exhale, heaviness. Sort of like an old mercury thermometer, slowly cooling off. The mercury returning to the lower aspect of that thermometer. Scanning your body, exhaling heaviness, hips over heels into the toes. About another half minute. One to two more breaths. You can remain in this shape if it's something that feels nice, or you can come with me on a trip to bring the hands back down to the mat, untuck the toes. Let's scrunch them up. Release. Scrunch up your toes. Release one more time. Coming back into that low kneeling. Just pausing for a moment for our child's pose. I'm just going to offer, if you have a bolster, to grab the bolster. If you'd rather go without props, you can start to make your way at home to watch this, who's watching this later, down to your child's pose. If you're going to use a bolster with me, doesn't matter if it's rectangle or round. Rectangle ones are weird, Tara. But good for restorative for sure. Bringing the bolster in towards your center, big toes touching or close to that. Walk the knees out a little wider, adjust your bolster. Let's lower down. This child's pose will be our longest held pose. So make sure you're comfortable. Blanket under the knees additionally can be nice. And lying one cheek or the other on the mat, I will cue halfway through and to shift them to the other side. Big breaths. Softening the shoulders. Even moving the elbows forward a little bit. Even giving your bolster or prop a little bit of a hug.
For just a moment, check in with all the resistance you may feel in your body to gravity. You feel like you're pushing into the mat to hold yourself up. Soften your shoulders. Let your heart move heavier towards the prop, or towards the mat. If you're resting one cheek or the other, now's a good time to switch as we are about halfway through our hold. Dropping back in heavily. Beginning to take some deeper breaths. Noticing what you feel from your toes, of both legs up to your knees. Good, bad, or indifferent. Scanning from your knees up to the hips. Softening your seat, your belly, chest and shoulders. Taking another 2 breaths, or feel free to exit as you're ready. Doing so very slowly, as that was about a 6-minute hold, approximately. Lifting ourselves up only when you find yourself ready. I'm going to offer to counter pose and corpse pose, so we can go ahead and lie back down onto our back bodies as we inch closer to Shavasana. Fully reclined or corpse pose on your back, which is, I guess, reclined, is an excellent counter pose or pause pose. It's just not always practical, but you can always go there. Doesn't matter. No instructor will ever say anything, and if they do, call me. Big breaths in here. I don't know what I would do, but just call me.
And one last hip opener for us to spend some time in. I'm going to go with a brief reclining butterfly. So if you like blocks for your butterfly, start to reach for those to support the outsides of your knees. So to enter this pose, we start to bend the knees, drawing the soles of the feet together so that they're touching or thereabouts. If it's not part of your practice, letting the knees fall away from one another, opening your space at center. If this is too open for you, a blanket over center or over the top of your body could feel nice. Letting your hips soften. You'll feel your toes maybe move towards the top of your mat and your feet. And creating a diamond shape in the space between where the legs are joined. And let's rest here. Taking a notice to scan from the tips of the toes to the knees. See if you can exhale some softness into the knees, allowing the hips to relax a little bit. Big belly breaths, long exhales, and rest here for a bit longer. About another half minute remains, reminding yourself gently that you can exit the pose if you're ready. The last few breaths here, 2 to 3, noticing top of the hip bones down to the knees and what that feels like. Good, bad, or indifferent, no reframe, just notice it. When you're ready to move out of and unravel from this reclining butterfly, maybe helping the knees with your hands move in towards one another. Step our feet out to the long edges of the mat or in that direction. Angle your toes in for constructive rest pose. You can even step your heels a little out towards the long edge of the mat. Another breath or two here. And we'll take a cradle pose with a little rocking to the left or right. And then any movements that you would like to experience before relying on your back body or side body or front for Shavasana. You could roll to one side gently if you need to. Sit up through center to reach for your blanket or your hoodie or any props you'd like for Shavasana. Nice and slow. I think I did offer, yeah, I did. Rocking side to side for a cradle pose. Just a little bit. Eventually letting the soles of the feet return to the mat, and here starting to get ready for our dedicated period of rest. And there's zero rush, no reason to hurry to get there at all. And as you arrive, if you've already arrived, you can start to soften your gaze and close your eyes, adjusting yourself on your mat or props with a little shift side to side if you like. Beginning to drop into that space, that void behind the eye. Noticing all the possibilities that reside within you. Considering only that maybe what you seek, what you need and long for is already within you. Please rest, my friend. Very gently beginning to breathe deeper, inviting your awake awareness to expand into your space once again. Noticing the temperature of the air, the energy and vibration. A little movement in the hands and feet can feel nice. A little bit of a rocking side to side can also feel nice while you're reclined even. And I'll invite you to remain relaxed and reclined if you choose to do so. That's how I prefer to close classes, because you're nice and relaxed. Just lying reclined or seated with no rush to get there if you want. And the seal is practice by offering to take one breath in community all together. We'll inhale through the tip of the nose, sigh it out. May the longtime sun shine upon you. All lights surround you, and the pure love that is within you guide your way on. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Peace, Peace, Peace. Namaste. Satnam.